Now, I know what you're thinking. Jimmy, why are you
opening a theme park in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia?
Well, it all started about 1 year ago. I was in a Feastables business meeting, and I realized, doesn't everything taste better than Hershey's? What makes us special? Yeah, well, the answer is nothing. And to be honest, myself and my entire company weren't exactly fans of that harsh truth. And so I set out to do something better. And what's better than being better than Hershey's? Well, how about being better than everyone? The best on earth. And from that day forward, I traveled from country to country, which eventually led us to this. Beastland, my brand new theme park, opens up in less than 24 hours.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question.
Would you kindly pick up that shortwave radio?
Beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me. My lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive.
My strength is not in steel and fire. That is what the parasites will never understand.
A man chooses, a slave obeys.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me. My baby stands on golden sand.
Hello, I am under the water. Please help me.
What up, everyone? It's me, Paul Dano. You know, I was going to like make this here like a big thing, but like a fucking dumbass, I forgot my camera battery at home. So when I got to the aquarium, which is where I was, you know, going to film and all that, I opened my camera bag and there's no battery in it. I'm like, but yeah, everyone, here's my face. For any Has-Been Hotel fans that are, you know, my ops. Fucking dumb. I'm supposed to be talking about fucking Bioshock, dude. What? Today we're talking about Bioshock, one of the most iconic video games ever made, released in 2007, directed by this guy, Ken Levine. Now, Ken Levine got his proper start at a studio called Looking Glass Studios.
A studio known for games like A Thief the Dark Project, one of the most important stealth games ever made, and a pioneer in the immersive sim genre.
And he is credited as the initial design and story concept. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what the fuck that means. But then eventually in 1997, he would form Irrational Games right here. He called it Irrational Games because in 2014, he would irrationally shut them down for no reason. He also irrationally created Bioshock Infinite right beforehand. What the fuck is wrong with you?
In 1997, though, the two studios would make System Shock 2, which is important to bring up for Bioshock, because if you couldn't tell by the name literally being Bioshock, Bioshock is the spiritual successor to System Shock, and it's not even subtle about it at all, by the way. Like, if you've played System Shock 2, so much is similar, it's not even funny. The games even have a similar twist in them.
The Polito form is dead, insect. I am Shodan.
How? There were a few other games that Irrational made after System Shock 2, but since 2002, the studio always had the idea of a Bioshock. Look at this old design document, for example. They mentioned System Shock 2 right there. However, due to the immersive sim genre not being very profitable, which is funny because Bioshock isn't actually an immersive sim.
Bioshock is what I would call a sim light, kind of like Alien Isolation. Even though IGN may tell you otherwise, they're fucking wrong.
Let the bodies hit the floor. 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 Let the bodies hit the floor.
It would take until 2004 for their game to get picked up. This time by Take-Two under their 2K publishing label, best known for basketball.
Basketball. isn't easy.
After a long and seriously pretty terrible development, with the team having to revamp everything a mere months before release, Bioshock eventually and finally dropped. And thankfully to unanimous critical acclaim. The game is considered a classic, and honestly, it does deserve it. I think where Bioshock shines, it really does shine. It's evidence of both video games and the first-person shooter genre as art. I do agree it's one of the best, if not the best game of its year, and in fact the kind of game that could only be told as a game. However, I think Bioshock is just a tiny bit, just slightly overrated. Look, can I fucking explain myself first? Look, I don't think Bioshock is a 10 out of 10 video game. I don't even think it's a 9 out of 10. I think Bioshock is a very strong 8 out of 10 video game. Yeah, that's my hot take of the week. I think Bioshock is a great game, but there are a number of flaws that do hold the game back, I feel. Flaws that get only more and more prevalent as the game ages. However, the things it gets right, it does still get very right. The game is a classic for a reason, a very good reason. So you know what? I'm gonna dive deep into Bioshock, or at least as deep as I can without reading Ayn Rand. First off, the game's opening is still incredible. There is a very brief intro establishing cutscene, establishing that we're some guy named Jack. Oh no, not again. On his way home to visit his family. He even has a little present for them. That's cute.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
Oh, well, never mind then. The plane then crashes. Right at the title splash, too. God damn. And just hearing the noises of all this, it's haunting for sure. It's simple enough, but it's intriguing. Jack then wakes up under the water.
How are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
A large part of the plane crashes right in front of him, the lights twitching, and we emerge to giant walls of fire. By some miracle, though, we see some large giant tower. The set of stairs and giant gold open door are foreboding for sure, but there aren't exactly any other options for shelter out here. The doors then close and the light turns on. A golden statue of this man's face stares directly at us. The banner reading, "No gods or kings, only man."
Top 5 men, top 5 blokes.
Is this that nihilist gobbledygook? Elon Musk, 3 keys for success. Hey, check out this thing. I love the smoke coming out of it. This is the bathysphere, a kind of a submarine meets elevator thing. We walk into it and submerge. Some kind of video gets pulled up and plays, clearly from the 30s or 40s or something.
I am Andrew Ryan.
What's good, man?
And I'm here to ask you a question.
Will 41 start an all-out meme war?
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
Yeah, I'd say so.
No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone.
Wow, what a centrist.
I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
Like this guy mentioned, we get this big view of Rapture, this giant underwater city. It seems a little vacant though for some reason. There's one weird big guy in a hallway here, but nobody else. Already, something about this place seems off. Even when this Andrew Ryan guy keeps gassing it up.
A city where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small, and with the sweat of your brow, Rapture can become your city as well.
I don't know, man. There's some kind of dissonance going on here. It could be just me, though, but I don't go outside very often. Things change, though, once we reach the surface, and we witness a man in danger.
Just don't hurt me. Just let me go. My God.
This scene, by the way, absolutely terrifying. Everything is so cloaked in shadow, the back window being the only kind of source of light. And check out that reverberation.
Just don't hurt me.
I want to go home. I don't want to...
The weird creature thing then attacks our bathysphere. Thankfully, we're safe, but then we hear a voice speaking.
Would you kindly pick up that shortwave radio?
This glowing thing? Sure, man.
I don't know how you survived that plane crash, but I've never been one to question Providence. I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive.
Thanks, Atlas, whoever you are. We then step right out of the bathysphere. Walking up some stairs, we encounter that thing again. We quickly learn that these things are called splicers. But thankfully, Atlas has some kind of drone that protects us from it. Check out the lighting and smoke, by the way. Absolutely insane still.
Bloody splicer, seal Johnny in before they... Goddamn splicers.
And we're also told to find a crowbar.
Now, would you kindly find a crowbar or something?
And yeah, under a green spotlight, we find it. A clunky wrench. Good enough, I guess. But yeah, again, no complaints. This whole intro is fantastic. And easily one of the best ways to start a video game. The game just submerges you into its world so well.
I guess you could say the game is, it's like water.
It also introduces Bioshock's theme so damn well. The instant juxtaposition between Andrew Ryan's big ol' grandiose, "this place is perfect" speech, and the straight up a horror scene with the slicer murdering the guy is just a perfect instant irony. In fact, Bioshock's world building as a whole is one of the best parts about it. For example, after you grab the wrench and walk up these stairs, an enemy attacks you instantly. That's when you learn here that basic combat kinda sucks ass. But then, right up the stairs is some kind of weird vending machine thing. You then inject yourself with a random syringe. Nice going, bud. You start freaking out, your hands start glowing and electrocuting and shit, and then Jack falls off this balcony. Nice going, bud. Then after being taunted by enemies you just killed, you see these guys walk by. These are the big daddies and little sisters. And right now, all you're shown is just how weird they are.
Look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel. I can see light coming from his belly. Wait a minute, he's still breathing. It's alright. I know he'll be an angel soon.
This is already teasing the world ahead of you really well, but the game later reintroduces the big daddies and little sisters amazingly, because eventually you make it to the scaffolding here.
Would you kindly lower that weapon for a minute?
And while Atlas is explaining them to you and his disdain for them, you see below a little sister creepily harvesting some guy's body. More importantly though, while the player is still in control, a literal spotlight is shining down on this little sister, drawing the player immediately over to her. Bioshock, a video game, is taking influence from theater to highlight its world for you.
She's a little sister now. Somebody went and turned a sweet baby girl into a monster.
That earlier opening scene with the splicer also had a spotlight on that thing too, alongside smoke effects, again, not unlike actual theater productions. The wrench also had a spotlight, but this time a green one, subtly telling the player to pick it up. Furthermore, the scene right after you see the little sister on that balcony thing, the one that reintroduces the big daddy, straight up plays out like a little play. A guy walks on stage left, spotlight shining down on him, a big daddy then comes out, again, another spotlight, and then with the spotlight still highlighted, he kills the guy. The scene, however, then ends with a literal fourth wall break, as if to say, gaming, bitch. I haven't even mentioned how fucking creepy the game is.
Gosh. Mom's gone. And Daddy too. Wait. This is happening before and none.
Never marry a girl on Tinder, y'all. So much of the world building is built on just walking in on things, seeing them with your own eyes. Rapture is full of bars and stores and offices, and overall feels like it was once lived in. And it kind of is, it's just that, you're not really welcome here.
Ugly! Ugly! Ugly!
You see writing on the wall and go, wow, this is very System Shock 2. You will walk in on some weird dead body hanging and go, hey, wait a minute, is this Rapture or Silent Hill? I also love the one part when Andrew Ryan notices and addresses you directly.
So tell me, friend, which one of the bitches sent you? The KGB wolf or the CIA jackal?
It adds a lot to his mystery and pseudo-omnipotence. You get the idea that Andrew Ryan thinks he's bigger than he actually is, but he has enough power to make himself a threat. He's a man who's lost his mind and wears a suit while doing it. I also love the way the game teaches you about plasmids. You see, by injecting a drug called Atom into your body, you get really cool hand powers in the game. The first one being electricity. And the first thing the game has you do is zap open a door switch. You're later taught you can zap enemies in water, and then soon after the the game ambushes you with a bunch more, but they all jump into this pool of water that you instinctively zap. So you're learning that plasmids are best used when interacting with your environment. You eventually get a fire one, and the first thing you do is burn a bunch of enemies surrounding you with gasoline. There's a telekinesis one, and it puts you next to a tennis ball launcher, incentivizing you to, like Trump and Bill Clinton, play around with a ball. So the plasmids aren't just a second firearm, but rather interactable with the environment. It's a phenomenal set of hidden tutorials. One of the most important to Bioshock's world building and immersion, though, is the NPCs. In a world where so many enemies in games like these feel so sterile and boring, having a game where enemies will do things like run to water when on fire or healing at health stations feels so novel. But my favorite example is the big daddies and little sisters, and not even in terms of combat or fighting them. Rather, it's just them walking around and doing their thing and not even harming you until you attack them. You'll see big daddies interact with the holes the little sisters travel through. You'll see the little sisters interact with dead bodies to get more at them. And if you get too close, they'll just try and threaten you away. It's really cool. It feels alive.
There have been There have been attempts. Shit. Look at me. It's Deus Ex.
We are forever. And eventually, we will lead them into the day.
There have been many attempts to make a Bioshock movie, but to be honest with you, I don't think any of them could actually work. This might actually be a good angle. Oh my god. So much of the game is based on you, the player, you, seeing a rapture with your own two eyes and seeing it crumble right in front of you, experiencing everything with your own immersion, with your own feet. This is emphasized by the fact that Jack, the main protagonist of Bioshock, is himself a mostly silent protagonist outside of the intro cutscene and a few grunts and moans. This honestly is a kind of a dated thing nowadays, and even a game like a Half-Life has moved away from it, but Bioshock is one of those games where the silent protagonist does actually help the game. It helps you, the player, immerse yourself in the world of Rapture and the falling apartness of it. I also feel like Atlas wouldn't really work in anything other than a video game. He explains the universe in a very natural, fluid way, one that doesn't feel too forced or contrived. He's kind of like the narrator in a really good book. He's narrating you through the world of Rapture. It also helps that Atlas himself is a character, one with his own motivation and goals throughout the game. Ones that are empathetic too, primarily the one with his family when you're going up the elevator.
Listen, I've got a family. I need to get them out of here. But the splicers have cut me off from them. You're the only hope I'll ever see my wife and child again.
And when the game later on kills his family in a submarine,
Get out! Get out and get to Arcadia! Jesus Christ!
you again are able to empathize with it, and the game turns into kind of a revenge story against Ryan.
Moira. Patrick. Ain't that just like Ryan? We'll find the bastard. We'll find him and we'll tear his heart out!
Atlas becomes kind of a secondary secret main character through you.
It also helps that he has good manners.
Would you kindly?
Of course, pal. Whatever you think is best.
Meanwhile, in a movie, Jack would have to have some kind of vague personality. Atlas would just come off as a universe explainer. In a movie, you're kind of forced to be distant from the characters. You can empathize with them, sure, but I just don't think the kind of world that Rapture paints and the way it paints it, I just don't think that can work in a movie as well. At the end of the day, Bioshock is a video game that's meant to be played.
This is unlike the book Atlas Shrugged, which is a book you aren't supposed to read because it sucks. This is a transition into the objectivism part of the video.
You see, the world of Rapture and the ideologies expressed by its characters and its politics are formed around a real-world philosophy called Objectivism. This philosophy was created by Russian-American philosopher and writer Ayn Rand. She is the writer of the books The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Maybe you heard about them by watching other Bioshock videos. Objectivism's big forming idea is basically altruism is bad, but selfishness and greed is actually morally good. Look, in the distance, my magic portal, it tells me that she has an institution with a YouTube channel, and it will bring out a video of hers. Ooh.
Objectivism. It's a guide to living here. developed by this writer. It starts with the idea that reality is objective. The universe is what it is. It states that our reason is all we have and all we need for understanding the world around us. Your highest moral purpose should be the pursuit of your own selfish happiness.
Now, you're really only supposed to like Ayn Rand if you're like 19 years old or something and going through a libertarian phase. Trust me, I've been there and it sucks ass. But let's be honest here. On the surface, objectivism does actually sound pretty good on paper, doesn't it? I mean, a focus on personal greatness and the grind.
Basketball isn't easy.
Respecting the will and selfishness of others?
Selfishness can be misinterpreted. It doesn't mean exploit others for your own gain. It means realize your highest potential by pursuing rational ends and live in harmony with others by respecting their right to their own life and happiness.
You know what? When you say it like that, that sounds pretty good, actually. You know what? Maybe objectivism isn't too bad, actually.
The issue, though, with objectivism and something that Bioshock highlights is that it assumes that selfishness is not really very much influenced by human emotion, which is just not how humans work. We are emotionally driven and connective creatures. We get selfish out of spite. We get lethargic and depressed and don't want to work when a loved one dies. People, religions, and organizations form hierarchies and class systems to protect what they view as their greatness. Emotion, empathy, just feeling things or feeling like doing things is a big reason why we do things. And that's what Rapture is ultimately built on. Andrew Ryan, whose name is literally an anagram of Ayn Rand, wants the free market of people committing to their own personal greatness, and as a result will create a further scientific and artistic and general societal greatness. And that unregulated human selfishness, and by extent unregulated human emotion, is why Rapture fell through. Now, I'm not going to go over Ayn Rand's works themselves, mostly because I haven't read them. Seriously. I'm not reading that garbage.
And on top of that, Bioshock wasn't actually meant as a critique of objectivism. To quote Ken Levine,
when philosophers write books, when they write fictional works, like Atlas Shrugged, they put paragons in the books to carry out their ideals. I always wanted to tell a story of what if a guy wasn't a paragon? What if his intentions were really good, but at the end of the day, he was human? I think that's where the problem is. It's not an attack on objectivism.
He said that in 2007.
It's a fair look at humanity. We screw things up. We're very, very fallible. You have this beautiful, beautiful city. And then what happens when reality meets the ideals? The visual look of the city is the ideals, and the water coming in is reality. It could have been objectivism. It could have been anything.
But the thing is, I both agree and disagree with Ken. Truth is, unavoidably, Bioshock does have an entire world based around critiquing objectivism. The main villain's name is Ayn Rand.
That's on top of everything else in this game. There's tons of symbolism that allude to Atlas Shrugged. The characters have transatlantic accents, that old classic Hollywood accent that's meant to sound sophisticated. You can hear it in the Fountainhead film adaptation, in fact.
It gives you pleasure to know that you're breaking me down. I'll give you a greater satisfaction.
But in Bioshock, it's turned into incoherent rambling.
Get the door, Sydney! Hang-around! Don't you disrespect me!
It's the most accurate Has-Been Hotel fanbase simulator yet.
On top of the fact that the game wants you to selflessly rescue little girls and not be selfish and harvest them.
Which is itself the basis behind the morality system of the game. Yes, there is a morality system. I have mixed feelings on it. So I briefly mentioned the big daddies and little sisters, right? The little sisters were once normal little girls, then turned into these creepy things, each one being protected by a big daddy. But early on in the game, you then come across the corpse of a burning big daddy. And then soon after, one of the game's enemies trying to obtain the little sister.
What the fuck?
This is because the little sisters carry Adam on them, which you can use to upgrade your plasmids throughout the game, which Atlas highly suggests that you do.
It's a little one. Here's your chance to get some Adam.
Are you with that Diddy shit?
But then the man gets shot by Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum. TLDR, she created the little sisters, which she now regrets and wants you to save them. She's also canonically autistic. Okay, this introduces the morality system into Bioshock, where if you fight a big daddy and kill him, yeah, like that, you can either harvest the little sister for more Adam, or you can rescue her and turn her into a normal girl.
Thank you.
Yo guys, it's me, Charlie.
The latter Tenenbaum really wants you to do, but Atlas meanwhile wants you to harvest them as much as you can.
Listen to me, Bio. You won't survive without the antidotes. Things are carrying.
Which is really funny in hindsight. With that being said, I'll go into my actual problems with the morality system later, but my bigger point is, this is the game trying to lead you towards altruism, which is, you know, an anti-objectivist thing.
Bioshock is a deconstruction of Rand's works, and it's really smart about it because it builds an entire steampunk world on top of that. But I also agree that Bioshock isn't just an attack on objectivism. Bioshock in general, I think, is about what happens when an ideology that sounds good on paper ends up collapsing and becoming corrupted. What happens to objectivism in Bioshock can happen to any ideology. And Bioshock 1 merely chooses objectivism as the framework, but the idea that any ideology can be corrupted is something that Bioshock 2 would explore, and that game's pretty good. Anyways, let's get back to the video game, even though I don't want to, because the next part kinda sucks ass and is very
So it begins when you enter the fisheries here, and you meet this guy named Peach Wilkins, and he wants you to take 3 pictures of splicers. So as a result, you're kind of aimlessly wandering around the area looking for them. It's one of those screeching halt moments that I hate in video games. Now you could say this incentivizes exploring the area a bit, but not really, because I'm looking for 3 specific things. So looking around feels more like a chore than anything. On top of that, the fisheries are the least interesting part of the game. There's a lot of cellars and storage areas and like a bar somewhere, and to be honest, not really much else at all. I'm also not a fan of the next area, which is the Tea Garden Farmers Market area. I do think it's more visually interesting. I like the trees and condensed greenhouse nature of it all. It's just that what you actually do in it, which is finding the ingredients for the Lazarus Vector, which is one big tree-saving antidote because Andrew Ryan's an asshole who's killing the nature.
Well done, lad. Take a deep breath and enjoy it.
Results in more just wandering around aimlessly, finding the ingredients for it. Look around to find the ingredients and try not to fall asleep during this level. It feels so aimless and padded out for a game that really isn't that long at all. It is kind of funny though that there was a code on the window, and I hadn't played the game in a few years, so I thought it said 6-7 on it.
Now, you could say this is all for pacing, and I would be inclined to kind of agree, especially when the next part of Bioshock is amazing and really picks up. But my issue isn't that it's slow, it's that it's meandering. So for the next 2 hours, you're just grocery shopping with plasmids and guns.
There is some world building in them, and it's nice and appreciated when it does happen. And yeah, it does add to the idea of Rapture being a big old place and shit, but I wish I were guided, not aimless, you know? And this goes on for like 2 hours. That's like a fourth of the game. What are you doing, Ken? Also, on the topic of flaws, fuck the hacking minigame. Seriously, it is jarring going from hectic firefights to suddenly fucking VeggieTales Mystery of the Veggie Island styled hacking minigame. They also get super RNG late in the game, which is not fun. They are so bad that Bioshock 2 ended up removing them. Thank Christ. By the way, quick question. So the puzzles are like water puzzles, right? I'm not sure why drones and turrets are powered by water, but hey, maybe they're liquid-cooled gaming PCs or something. But then you're suddenly hacking steel safes? How the fuck does this make any sense? This might be the first time I've seen someone hack a steel safe in the 60s. And that's why I'm giving a Bioshock my patented 0 out of 10. There is one part that's a kind of established throughout this area though, and that's the existence of a character named Fontaine. He's mentioned by Peach Wilkins and is apparently the reason he tries to kill you. He's also brought up in some of the audio tapes lying around. Hell, even the fisheries area is called Fontaine Fisheries. To make a long story short, he was Andrew Ryan's op. He's also a big reason for the mass production of Adam, and with the help of Tenenbaum's research, founded Fontaine Futuristics, taking advantage of Rapture's quickly forming class system, which Andrew Ryan, being an anarcho-capitalist, actually approved of.
Gregory, don't come whining to me about market forces, and don't expect me to punish citizens for showing a little initiative.
If you don't like what Fontaine is doing, well, I suggest you find a way to offer a better product.
So where did this go wrong? Well, to fund this company, Fontaine had a whole ass smuggling ring, where he would smuggle in hard to find food, alcohol, drugs, and worst of all, the Bible. Now, of course, Andrew Ryan didn't like this very much, so Andrew Ryan had him slammed out and shit, resulting in the Rapture Civil War. Don't worry too much though, as the character of Frank Fontaine isn't important at all for later. A lot of this stuff, by the way, isn't really told to you. Nah, you gotta find it in the audio tapes scattered about. Now, I'm gonna be honest, normally, I fucking hate audio logs in games. It feels like a pacing halting fluff that was written in a weekend most of the time, adding very little to the actual quality of the story, as well as running the risk of writing the franchise into a corner leading to retcons down the line. Plus, if your universe just isn't interesting in the first place, then I'm not going to want to engage with the random fluff throughout the game. Hell, I barely do it when I am engaged in a game story. Thankfully though, Bioshock is one of the few games where the audio tapes are actually done well. For one thing, Ken Levine created the trend with System Shock 2. Okay, that's a lie, he didn't, but that's what Guinness World Records tells me. But in that game's case, the audio logs were the main device of storytelling. And in a horror game where you're fighting genetic monsters on a rundown spaceship, finding the audio logs as clues as to what the fuck was going on was a part of the narrative. Now in Bioshock, the audio logs do take more of a backseat, but first of all, Bioshock's world is actually good and interesting, so it makes an already really great world feel more alive. And secondly, they do actually enhance the main plot if you listen to them. You can avoid all the audio tapes and still enjoy the story and world, but the game is made better if you do engage with them. This is unlike modern games which just add fluff to something that isn't there. Bioshock even avoids the scratches of retcons by running into it with a freight train instead.
So anyways, the next level is...
Yeah, after a kind of middling and mediocre last area, we get to what is by far Bioshock's best level. This, of course, being a Fort Frolic. The main bad guy in this area is Sander Cohen, who Atlas tries describing as a kind of insane artist.
Ryan's handed the keys to Fort Frolic over to a guy named Sander Cohen. Cohen's an artist, says some. He's a Section 8, says I. Until his radio cuts out and classical music intercepts it. I've seen all kinds of cutthroats, freaks, and hard cases in my life. But Cohen...
From this point on, Atlas is not with you for the rest of the level. So who instead is?
That's better.
Why, none other than Sander Cohen himself, of course. And for the rest of this level, pretty much announces that he's now in control.
Time was, you could get something decent on the radio. So say goodbye to those two blowhards. And hello to an evening with Sander Cohen.
This guy already aura maxes his way into making a massive first impression with a giant rabbit mask art display blocking your path. And when you walk into Fort Frolic, it's a giant shopping mall-like area lit up with these big neon signs. There's also a large kind of stage here with these statues surrounding it. Creepy. Already as glamorous as the level is, something seems off. Cohen then leads us to this auditorium here, where we see this guy playing a piano. Unfortunately, it's against his will.
No, no! I'm trying. Please.
Once again, young Fitzpatrick.
No!
Cohen then chooses to put the Whiplash teacher to shame by just killing the guy.
Calm down now, little more.
To be honest, man, I think I'm good.
Life, death. The burden of the artist is to capture.
Is this just advanced schizo posting?
See young Fitzpatrick here on the stage. Use your camera. Take him as he is now, so I may remember him. And now you've got Fitzpatrick caught in his moment of glory. Now, head to the atrium and place his photograph in my masterpiece. And so, our collaboration
commences.
This is the intro for what we'll be doing in Fort Frolic. Yes, that was all just the introduction. You have to hunt down all of Sander Cohen's old proteges, and then take their picture once you kill them. You then put those photos in what Sander Cohen calls his masterpiece, which are 4 photo frames held up by a bunch of statues. Now, on the surface, this isn't that different from the rest of the game, especially with the part where you're again just grocery shopping with guns. But in Fort Frolic, it's actually done incredibly well because, first of all, the context. The idea of this crazy yet charismatic artist hunting down his proteges and killing them already gives you that primal what happens next kind of feeling. Something the fisheries in Tea Garden don't really do that well in my opinion, but where Fort Frolic meanwhile does it with flying colors. But where Fort Frolic actually comes together is in the way the level is actually designed. In Bioshock, you're already incentivized to explore and shit, as doing so gives you audio tapes and goodies and all that. But if you do that in Fort Frolic, yeah, you encounter some creepy shit here, and the level will react to when you do. Most notably, my favorite thing about this level, the mannequin room. You first walk down this hallway filled with mannequins, and inside the room, there's a couple more. You then find a switch to a door, leading you down to a basement with... Dude, fuck this, bro. There's also a weapons upgrade station, but if you use it, you get jump scared by a mannequin who's alive. And conveniently, all the mannequins are now gone from the room, introducing a new enemy type that you gotta now deal with. What's crazy, however, is that if you don't interact with this weapons upgrade thing, then these enemies are nowhere in the level at all. And both a gameplay shit like this and Sander Cohen himself are both a commentary on the nature of creating art. You see, first of all, not sure if you noticed, Sander Cohen, for all his ambitions, is kind of an asshole.
Of all the worthy artists in Rapture, why you continue to devote column inches to this musical gremlin is beyond my imagination. Where she is not derivative, she's boring. Where she's not boring, she's obvious.
Bullshit. Derivative.
But ultimately, he is a guy focused on his creative vision. In fact, later in the game, you can go to his apartment, and there will be a couple dancing, which you're instructed not to touch or disturb. Doing so, however, will result in a boss fight, and this all ultimately describes the kind of character Sander Cohen is. Someone who, in the context of objectivism, has no problem killing proteges for his masterpiece. He's striving for true artistic greatness. However, he directly calls your input a collaboration.
And so, our collaboration commences.
And is blown away and even helps you when he sees the finished product.
It's beautiful. You may avail yourself on one of my lesser works as a token of our time together.
Which begs a very interesting question. There are stories of a cast and crew working on something and being harmed for the sake of creating art, and sometimes it works. The work of art is heralded as a masterpiece. The question is, though, was the work worth the suffering? Is human suffering just an inevitability of good art? I mean, of course, abuse is never okay, but I doubt Apocalypse Now would have been nearly as good if it were comfortable to make, but I guess that's also the thing. Apocalypse Now isn't just a Francis Ford Coppola. It was a lot of people involved in that. Hell, the film was pretty much deemed unsalvageable until the editing room happened. And on that note, with the mannequin room in Fort Frolic, Cohen's vision was for you not to touch any of that shit. However, doing so makes the level much more interesting. So what's more important, the artist's vision that he demands to exist, or the art that ends up taking its own form? I think the best part about this level is that it really doesn't give you a full-on conclusion. Rather, through gameplay choices, it lets you decide what the answer is. This is overall arguably the best part of Bioshock, at least in my opinion. Like, Fort Frolic to me is a reason you would play Bioshock. Like, this entire level is so good.
This is the best thing in the entire universe.
By the way, there's also something else revealed here. Not about Cohen though, but about Ryan. You see, there was a girl named Jasmine Jolene, an exotic dancer that Ryan wanted to crack the fuck out of. However, one day she got pregnant and Andrew Ryan, he killed her. Just killed her. Yeah, wow, that's fucked. That wasn't very objectivist of you, Ryan. God, I can't stand the hypocrisy. Now I gotta kill him.
What happened to you? I've been trying to raise you for a dog's age.
We get back in contact with Atlas and head to the next area. This time to Hephaestus. It's basically Rapture's power center, but more importantly, it's where Andrew Ryan is. Now, this part is more fetch quests, but to overall summarize in a few seconds, we get closer and closer to taking down Andrew Ryan. However, with a cryptic bad guy speech in hand, he launches a self-destruct sequence.
Even in the Book of Lies, sometimes you find truth.
He also wants to meet us personally, which, hey, why not?
Does your master hear me? Atlas, you can kill me, but you will never have my city. Come now, my child. There is one final thing to discuss.
We then travel through this vent here and see, this? A large whiteboard collage of notes and pictures in red string, with "Would you kindly" written in bold red. There's also 2 audio tapes in this area, both from Dr. Yi Suchong, Rapture's leading medical researcher. One tape is him describing the results of testing on a baby, I think, except this baby at 1 year old is apparently growing up very rapidly. The other audio tape is him instructing a child to kill a puppy.
Break her neck for me. What? Break that sweet puppy's neck. No, please.
What the fuck?
What's more important in this tape, though, is what's actually in it, because the kid does kill the dog once Suchong tells him a very familiar phrase.
Break that puppy's neck. Would you kindly?
Yeah, okay, so Atlas was lying to us immediately, but we'll get into his deal later. But more importantly, we get that big twist with Andrew Ryan. This is the moment everyone talks about in Bioshock all the time, and for good reason. So first we meet Andrew Ryan and he discusses free will.
In the end, what separates a man from a slave? A man chooses. A slave obeys.
He then reveals things like our family and our memories. All that setup wasn't actually real, but rather implanted memories.
You think you have memories. A farm. A family.
In reality, we were the kid that killed that dog in the tape. We are the kid the Suchong guy experimented on. We are the reason the plane crashed. In fact, that present was a loaded weapon the whole time.
Did that airplane crash? Or was it hijacked?
We were, for some reason, scientifically made to be someone's slave. And "would you kindly" is our trigger phrase.
Would you kindly? Powerful phrase. Sit. Would you kindly? Stand. Would you kindly?
Andrew Ryan then instructs you to kill him, still holding on to his core beliefs.
A man chooses. A slave obeys. Kill! A man chooses! Obey!
And after killing Andrew Ryan and overwriting these self-destruct codes, it's soon revealed what's really going on. Because turns out Atlas was a Frank Fontaine the whole time!
It's time to end this little masquerade. There ain't no Atlas, kid. The name's Frank Fontaine.
Yeah, so Fontaine was behind it all, who bought you as a fetus from Jolene, the girl that Andrew Ryan killed.
They just take the egg out once Mr. Ryan and I had... Oh, I needed the money so bad.
And you just gave him the keys to Rapture. Nice job, fucking dumbass.
I'm gonna run Rapture tits to toes.
This is the moment of Bioshock, the part everyone remembers. It really just comes down to being executed so well. For one thing, like everyone else has said, it plays around with how you blindly follow rules in video games. Similar to how people blindly follow ideologies that they think will make them safe, and it turns them into an obeying slave.
A man chooses.
A slave obeys.
But what also makes this twist great is how foreshadowed it is, but only if you look for it. It's part of the reason why listening to the audio tapes does enhance the story. And in my opinion, it's especially better on a second playthrough, when you can really take in those smaller details. And you know, at first, I didn't really get why Andrew Ryan let himself die, as you know, he has full control over you and all that. But you know, judging that Andrew Ryan is as delusional as a Life is Strange fan, him viewing himself as an objectivist martyr of sorts is not at all out of the realm of his own possibilities. Point is, this scene is great and I've come to really appreciate it more and more over time. This is an iconic, beloved scene for a reason. I cannot say the same for the ending of the game.
Yo, Pierre, you wanna come out here?
Yeah, welcome to the fourth part of Bioshock, where the game falls off a goddamn cliff. So after that twist, we're saved by Dr. Tenenbaum and her little sisters. And we're told that to stop Fontaine, we gotta become a big daddy. Oh shit, that sounds awesome. Those guys got big drills and big guns. So we get all the big daddy parts we need and... Oh wait, what do you mean I don't get any of that? What do you mean it's just the same combat as the rest of the game, except now I get a fisheye lens? And worst of all, what do you mean these are all escort quests? I was hoping for a bit more of a power fantasy here. Not the most boring game ever made. This part, the big daddy part, just sucks. It feels last minute, like it was just hacked together just to get the game out. It is so boring.
What? You're just ruining it. Look at my lips, you're ruining it.
It ages even worse now that Bioshock 2 is a video game, because in that game you play as a big daddy with a drill for the whole thing. And shock of all shocks, it's actually really fun. And that game wasn't even made by Ken Levine. What the fuck? It's a kind of insane how badly Bioshock 1 fumbles the concept of playing as a big daddy. Because gameplay-wise, it's not even mediocre, it's just a dog shit. And the final boss of the Atlas isn't really that much better, to be honest. So we go up this elevator ready to kick his ass and everything, but uh-oh, Fontaine is just pumping himself full of atoms. So this deeply political video game ends with the Batman Arkham Asylum final boss. The most generic monster at the end of the book styled ending ever. It's not even a good boss either. It's kind of overly easy and very, like, whatever. It's like the most disposable, forgettable boss fight ever. It's not good. And then after that, you get one of two painfully underwhelming endings. The bad ending involves you basically taking over Rapture. You also abuse the little girls. Then you kill some random guys on a submarine and take a nuclear missile. And that's, literally it. The good ending, meanwhile, is only slightly better. You reject control of Rapture and you give the little girls a life of their own. And you grow old and they all watch you die.
They offered you this city. And you refused it. You gave them the one thing that was stolen from them. A chance to learn, to find love, to live. And in the end, what was your reward? A family.
Okay. Bioshock's ending is ultimately underwhelming. The good ending is nice and cute and all, but for a game wrapped in a whole world of deep politics, it just feels like it's anticlimactic. What happens to Rapture? Does society rebuild? Do the Little Sisters rebuild it? What do the Little Sisters do to Rapture? Do they just leave it behind? What happens to it?
That's the issue with Bioshock's ending. It's either you're a power-hungry monster or Jesus 2.0. This is a problem with the morality system in Bioshock in general. You get one of two extreme options here. Again, revolving around that rescuing or harvesting Little Sisters thing. Killing a big daddies to get to them.
On the one hand, I get it. Objectivism is based on the idea of selfishness as a virtue. So, naturally, if you save the Little Sisters, you're given the not selfish option and the good ending. But if you take more Adam for yourself, that gets you the bad ending, because you were selfish the whole game. However, this becomes a problem when you rescue little girls and Tenenbaum and her little sisters that you saved in the game give you a teddy bear filled with even more Adam and goodies. So what's the takeaway? That not being selfish will get you more rewards in the long run? That's me helping someone for my own personal gain. Is that not me being selfish, or is that not objectivism? I'm not actually saving the little sisters to help them, I'm saving the little sisters to get more Adam for my cool hand powers.
What the hell?
I feel like the good ending would have been more satisfying if you didn't have these rewards at all in the game.
Look, my point here is Bioshock is a great game, even now. However, I just don't feel like the game is flawless, especially at the end, where it just drops the ball completely. But with that being said, I do think that Bioshock having flaws is actually a kind of a net positive and a good thing for the game. Because Bioshock, at the end of the day, is a game worth studying. And its flaws are also part of the game's very design, its very core.
And plus, I'm gonna be honest here, Bioshock is still Bioshock. A game with excellent atmosphere, intriguing themes, a great world, and world building. The way Bioshock uses the medium is fantastic, even if I feel doesn't always stick the landing and maybe gets a little too praised nowadays. Also, you can't tell me the game hasn't not aged when Epstein the Swami is a thing, but Rapture is still a world worth visiting. Unlike Atlas Shrugged itself, Bioshock isn't just an 1100-page Wojak comic, but rather an atmospheric and fun exploration of what happens when these ideas get out of control. Again, I don't think it always sticks the landing, but where it does, it really does.
If anything else, Bioshock is a game that reminds me why art and studying art is so important. So overall, while Bioshock isn't perfect, once again, it's still Bioshock, and its world and themes remain in our hearts for a reason.
Although, let's be honest here, the game is not as good as Mystery of Veggie Island. 0 out of 10.
Lena is the queen of Palestine, just because they like her concertina. She plays it day and night, she plays with all her might, never gets it right. How they love it, want more of it. I heard her play once or twice. Oh, murder, still it was nice. She was fat, but she got leaner, pushing on her concertina. Now, no Palestine away.
Before we move on, though, I must ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to online privacy protection? No, says the international ISPs. We must see your private conversations. No, says the man in Washington. Your data must be sold to the megacorps. No, says the man on the streaming services. Not unless you're in the right region, that is. Ryan VPN rejects those answers.